My name is Greg McDaniel, and welcome back to another amazing show of Real Estate Coach Uncensored.
And I'm Bernice Ross. We have a fantastic show today. It's called Hot Tips for Coping with Today's Low Inventory Market. And the hot topic at Connect Now last week was obviously the thing that everybody's talking about is how tight the inventory is. So we're going to share some of the really incredible takeaways that can help your business here. But we're also going to take a look at some bellwether trends for 2021. And one of the things I don't think a lot of people have realized, I think a lot of us are experiencing burnout. I didn't think I had it. And then I just was seeing myself kind of pull away and not wanting to do anything and being low energy. And it dawned on me, I've had all this stuff going on for so long. I think a lot of us are struggling with that. So we're going to give you some tips on that. Plus, we have some great little quick takeaways to help you build your business. So let's get to it. Kalea Peters did a fantastic job in explaining an option that most agents are unaware of. And these are alternative financing models from companies like Fly Homes, HomeLight, Homeward, Knock, Orchard, and Ribbon. Again, that's Fly Homes, HomeLight, Homework, Knock, Orchard, and Ribbon. And what these companies do is that they have two goals. So their models are to achieve one of two things. Either they want to turn a buyer into a cash buyer, or they want to turn a seller into a buyer. And they earn their money through the spreads, either by what they buy the house for and what they sell it for, or they can also earn it by charging for their services. And in many cases, this may be a mortgage that they get, and they make the money off the mortgage and title. So the fees, and maybe there's a 2 or 4% fee for doing the sale. There's also one other very important thing that you need to know about these models is that they are willing to work with agents and pay you a commission. So that's one of the reasons we're talking about them, especially if they're making the money by doing the mortgages. We're seeing these tools being used by new home builders in particular. So Greg, providing these services are available in your area, what can our viewers do to take advantage of them for their businesses?
One of the things that you and I have come up with is a very simple script that you can put on postcards, internet, social media, whatever it's going to be. But the simple script is this. Would you ever consider becoming a buyer before selling your current home? Contact, Sally Agent at 800-555-1212. It's a very simple thing. Become a buyer before selling your current home. Now, here's a really powerful thing about that. The powerful thing about that is, one, you're going to hook them as a seller because you offer them an exit on the buy side. So there's no interim difference, right? But you'll also be able to potentially get the other listing of their current home. So it could be what I've coined as a twofer, 2 for 1.
So Greg, they need to implement this. Some people call it a unique selling proposition. I like to talk about a unique value proposition.
Yes.
You make that a regular part of your appointment. So if they may need to sell first, now you've given them a way to become an all-cash buyer. So these services are really powerful. You get into a multiple offer contingent sales situation. So if you're working in an area where the multiple offer, the competition is so fierce, if you use one of these companies, the way to do this is you get them, first, Greg, you need to have your seller go to one of these companies and see if they can get qualified to go ahead and become a buyer before they sell. If they can, then they're going to be in a position to write a 2-week escrow or to go into multiple offer, possibly an all cash basis, which some of these offer. And the great news, in most cases, they get to stay in their home until they're ready to move into the next one. So again, the programs differ if they're available in your area from any of the companies that we've talked about. Check this out. It's a great way to get people off the fence and under contract.
Bernice, I love the content you were just putting out. That's just really good, solid information. But I want to step into our second part of our article right now, and is the 3 pithy quotes for coping with today's low inventory market. Now, I know you're going to lead off with an amazing one first off. So what is it?
That is, competence creates confidence. And Terrence Murphy of eXp Realty emphasized the importance of constantly upgrading your negotiation skills and having a deep knowledge of the contracts, knowing your scripts, plus mastering the other fundamentals in the business. He played professional football, but here's what he had to say. And I think this was such a great quote. When you're tired and exhausted from competing in today's low inventory environment, competence comes out of muscle memory. That level of competence gives you confidence no matter how tired you are. And I can tell you right now, I can be totally exhausted, but if I had to negotiate a deal, I know my scripts, I know my dialogues, push the button, it's there. And Greg, I know you're the same way.
One of my team manager, Eileen, she always would yell at one of our other team members, not yell, but like talk to them strongly, because he would always say, Greg, how can you say all this stuff? And she's like, everything's scripted. That's what he does. He just remembers his scripts and he moves forward with that. And it's important to do that. I mean, you have to be scripted, but not scripted at the exact same time. And I love that point. Another thing that I want to talk about really quickly is never losing your integrity over one transaction. There are individuals that may at times do something that would only benefit one transaction and not think about it long term, aka staying in touch with people, put in their database, updating their information, calling on their anniversary, on the anniversary of the sale, their kids' graduation, staying in contact with them, that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you keep the integrity of your professionalism at all times across the bar. Make a conscious effort of shifting away from that mentality of one deal, one client. And that goes right back into this. Self-care isn't selfish. Okay. That's not how this works. It's imperative that you take time for yourself, for your family, for your kids. I mean, go sit at the pool, whatever it's going to take time to be selfish so you can take self-care, then you can take care of your clients.
I like what Stephanie Lanier, who actually did this session of she's from the Lanier Property Group in Wilmington, North Carolina, had to say about this. She says, self-care isn't selfish. It's the lack of self-care that is selfish. And here's how she described it. It's important that you understand when to hit the brakes before hitting the wall. If you're waiting until you hit the wall, it's much harder to put the pieces back together. What is selfish is to keep running into the wall and creating a wreck or disaster that everybody else has to keep putting back together again.
Okay, number 3, Bernice. This is our favorite. Glenda Baker from Glenda Baker and Associates in Atlanta has created a powerful marketing strategy that allows listing agents to leverage their red hot listings long after they've already sold. And this script is absolutely incredible. So here's the scenario. We had 38 offers on our listing and we have one new homeowner. These 37 other buyers are still looking to buy in your neighborhood, and only one agent knows what the buyers are looking for and are willing to pay in your area. And that's me.
So Greg, one of the issues that we have faced when we have a really hot property is we don't get very long to market it, and we don't have that much of an opportunity to get other listings. And what Glenda has come up with is so powerful because it's a way to generate new listing leads. Tiffany Curry of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services in Houston was moderating this session, and she agreed with what Glenda Baker had to say. She explained why a seller who lived next door to one of her listings chose to go with her as a listing agent rather than somebody else. The seller told her, I want the lady who listed the house next door because she knows the market, she knows who is in the market, and she's going to get the best price for my home. Greg, before we go on to point number 4, bellwether trends to watch for 2021, there's one more important point here. Right now, 1 out of every 10 of those neighbors will be transacting in the next 12 months. So every person you contact, 10% of them will be transacting over the next 12 months. So this is the importance of not only doing your just sold cards, but following it up with this kind of marketing message.
Let's move on to number 4, the bellwether trends to watch for 2021.
The first one is fractionalization, and Spencer Raskoff has a new company called Picasso, that's P-A-C-A-S-O, that's a fresh approach to this notion of co-ownership. Hotel chains like the Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, Starwood, they have been building hotels, but they have also built these residences in them that you can purchase, and then the hotel will rent it out when you're not in residence and manage it. Well, Picasso now has started targeting very high-end properties, but in a really desirable locations where you can buy an 8th or 25% of a property, whatever the number turns out to be. And you use it for a certain time of the year. And this is great for second homeowners. A lot of people that live in our subdivision, they're here when it's cooler. And then the summertime, they'll go to Colorado, or Idaho, or Canada, wherever they have their previous home, they'll stay there. But during that time, that 3 to 6 months, their unit here is vacant. They could sell 25 or 50% of their unit for someone else to use during that time as a residence here. So this is, it's a hot trend to watch. You're going to hear a lot more about fractionalization coming into the market, not only for vacation properties, but for primary residences as well. Greg, this next one is something that's near and dear to your heart. What's the next one?
It is. Wide social audio is absolutely one of the new hottest tech platforms that you can possibly imagine. The one that's really taking the internet by storm as we speak right now is a platform called Clubhouse. Now, I am an avid active human being on Clubhouse, and it is fascinating to use this. Now, there's been a lot of different, talk around town about Facebook, LinkedIn, and Reddit also, developing their own audio social platforms, because you don't have to put the makeup on, you don't have to do your hair, you don't have to have the right lights, you don't have to have the right mic. You just need your phone, and you can do this. You can do it when you're working out, when you're in the car, when you're walking the dog, washing the kids, doing whatever you're going to do. And you can network with social, in different professionals in different industries. You can create your own club, and then you have other people do what they call rooms within the club. And it's really a powerful source. I mean, it's something that I listen to several different rooms on a consistent basis, and they will bring me up to a speaker or up to a moderator position, which then you can invite other people. It's a whole scenario there, but it's a fascinating program that they created, and I think it's so incredibly powerful for the day and age that we're in right now, where people are craving that connection, that conversation. It's like getting coaching on a massive level from multiple different people at a zero cost basis. So if you guys aren't on it, get on it. It's incredible.
So Greg, let's go on to the next one. Cheap money has translated into buyers spending more for move-in ready properties. Tommy Choi, who's the co-founder of Weinberg Choi Residential in Chicago, reports that many of his clients have the money to update a property and spend the $100,000 to do that. But what he sees them opting to do is that they actually are deciding to pay an extra $100,000 for a move-in property, keep their cash liquid, and then finance it because the rates are high twos, mid threes. So it makes sense to do that while money is still cheap. Also, Troy reported, at least in Chicago, and I think we're seeing this kind of across the country right now, that the vaccines do appear to be having a positive impact on excess supply. So Troy has observed that as Chicago has started to open up their restaurants, their neighborhood amenities, people can start going to their pools, the gyms. As that has started to take place, the inventory has dropped from 17 months of inventory in the summer of 2020 to about 12 months of supply right now. Now, Ann Jones of Windermere Abode in Tacoma said she's seeing the same trend in her market. The condo market, which was at 2.7 months of inventory, and it's a red hot market because you get people coming in out of Seattle to the Tacoma market, but that has dropped to 2.2 months recently. So it's still super red hot market, but it's even gotten even more difficult to deal with. And we're seeing stories now coming out of Manhattan and other big metros that people are starting to move back into these areas and to take advantage of some of the inventory that's there and the lower rates to lock in the lifestyle that they love that city for to begin with. So again, that's a trend that seems to be happening right now.
All right, Bernice, we are getting to the fifth and final bullet point. It is the 4 best practices for today's market. One of my favorites is this. Go out there and look for the best deals. Search for the properties that have been sitting on the market for 6 weeks or more. So write that down, 6 weeks or more. That's our number 1 bullet point. Number 2 is this. If you don't have a buyer's agent, if you're just a single agent and you're just swamped, and that's a great thing, you know what? You can still hire another agent to do showings for you. You can pay them $10 per property or whatever you feel is going to be appropriate, plus the mileage. This is great for new agents or any other agent you just like in your office or in your market area.
And this is, as you said, it's great for people who may be struggling a little bit just to get some extra money if they're not closing deals, because it's so hard to close deals right now. Okay, let's go on to the next one, which is how to avoid risks from waiving buyer inspection contingencies on multiple offers. The thing I thought was really interesting is several of the speakers talked about this, and I thought this was such a great strategy. They said, have your sellers do a complete inspection ahead of time and do a full disclosure package. And then when someone shows the property, make sure that they have that in their hand before they go show it. And the idea here is this, if people start waiving the inspection contingency and somebody wants to step up and compete, if they have seen what a professional inspector has found with the property, plus they've got full disclosure, it makes it a lot safer for, everyone who's involved to, if the bidding gets crazy, this is a way to circumvent problems for everyone. One of the things that's really interesting in California, when I purchase a property, I generally am going to put 3% as liquidated damages. So on a $500,000 deal, that's $15,000. Here in Texas, I can tie it up for under $1,000. So it's no big deal for me to walk away. And that's true in many other states. So what you want to make sure is that those disclosures are done and that you have that contract tied down so it's really tight. And an important part of that is our fourth point here. Always ask for proof of funds on all cash transactions, as well as with multiple offers where the buyer may have to make up the difference. And I thought this point was really interesting. So say somebody's made an offer all cash of $500,000, they have $500,000 in the bank, but their balance is only $500,001. What happens if there's that overage? Now, Greg, you have a great strategy for dealing with this.
I do. It's something we've used for decades, literally. And what we do if there's an all cash offer and there's no loan contingency and all that jazz, what we do is we go and say, that's fantastic. We appreciate your offer. We're going to need you, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, to go ahead and give us a letter from your bank manager on their letterhead, supplying exactly what you guys have in the bank. Now, are you going to gouge them on the price? Absolutely not. You're going to honor the contract, but you need to make sure that there's going to be the money for any kind of appraisal issues, closing costs. Like Bernice said, if it's a $500,000 offer and they have $501,000 in the bank, that's a little bit of an iffy situation. So we ask for a letter from the bank with the letterhead from the manager stating to the fact that they do have the money. And I actually then will call the bank, talk to the manager, get an email receipt back from the manager stating that we had a conversation with the letter attached, just so there's a paper trail there so there's no misunderstandings.
And Greg, what comes up for me as you're describing this, what a great strategy to use for me if I'm representing the buyers to have that letter from the bank. Oh my goodness, I come in with that and I have the email. That seller is going to take a really hard look at that offer because the lender has stepped into this and said, yes, this person is qualified. So Greg, what's your final takeaway for today?
Get on Clubhouse yesterday.
Great advice. So if you'd like to give your business a boost this spring, try some of the suggestions here. Again, it doesn't make any difference where you begin, but if you implement some of these, you may very well have that money you need for a vacation this summer, and you can get rid of all that COVID burnout that we're hoping that is soon going to be in back of us. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.